In this tutorial, we're going to begin to have a look at some of the parameter automation that we can do in Cubase. Now, by parameter automation, we refer to the process of changing settings automatically. So, in this project here, I have two tracks. One of them is an audio track, this one, and the other one is a VST instrument track. The audio track has a little snippet of a recording of a cityscape. So I'm going to begin by soloing that, and it sounds like this. So just a little bit of an urban soundscape. Now, as I play this track, I could, in the inspector over here, adjust the volume level as the cursor advances through the timeline, something like this perhaps. So the volume gets quieter and then louder again, and then, you know, a little bit of movement of the volume. Now, what if I wanted that change in the volume parameter to happen automatically as I play the project? Well, that's the kind of thing that I can achieve with automation, and there are two ways to do it. The first way to do it is to have Cubase record the movements that I make of the parameter in real time while the project's playing. The second method would be to draw in the changes that I want manually with the mouse. And we're going to have a look at both of those methods. So each track in Cubase has these two settings here, the R and the W. Now these refer to automation. That's their sole purpose, to deal with automation. Now this one here is called Write Enable. So if I click on that, that track is now ready to record any movement of any parameter that I make while the project is playing. So if I play the project back and do as I did before, move the volume control, it's going to record the movements that I make. So I'll do a little bit of that now. Okay, and now if I disable that, because I don't want to record any more movements just yet, and go back to the beginning, if I play it back, we don't see any movement of the parameter. So what's wrong? The second button here is called Read Enable. So the reason that we didn't see those movements replicated is because we haven't yet told Cubase that we want to read the parameter automation that we've just recorded. We have recorded it, we just haven't, Cubase is just ignoring it at the moment. So if I now read enable the track and play back, what we're going to see is this parameter here moving automatically, and we'll hear the corresponding changes in volume. And those will happen automatically whenever the automation on that track is read enabled. If I right-click on this track here, among the numerous options that I have, there's this option here which is called Show Automation. If I click on that, another track appears, a sub-track underneath this one, and that shows the parameter of volume here, and this line here shows the automation that we've just recorded. So that if I play that back, you'll see that as the cursor moves over the parameters here, you'll see the corresponding movement of the parameter and hear the change in volume. So we'll just have a quick look at that. Once that automation is there, I can manipulate it manually. So for example, I can select these little points of automation and move them. So if I want to change the automation, I can do it like that. I can select them all if I want, like this, and delete them. I can add them. If I click on the blue line, I can add points manually if I want to do something very precise. notice that this will only happen if the automation is read enabled. I can read enable the track on the inspector, on the track, or in the automation track. Those are all three instances of the same thing. I can only draw in automation when it's read enabled. I could also use the pencil tool, the draw tool, which is here, if I wanted to draw something a little bit more detailed. The pan control could also be automated, so I'll just disable that just now. And as I change the pan setting, we're going to hear this track moving from left to right across the stereo field, and the automation will be recorded. So there it is in the left, and across to the right, and do a little bit of quick movement, and stop. Read enable the track. We're still looking at the volume. If I select here, I can see the standard panner is another parameter. It has a little star next to it indicating that there is automation there. Select that and I can see the pan parameter being automated as well. Hide the automation. It's still there, it's still reading it, and it will still play. Moving on to the VST instrument track, as well as the volume and pan, I can automate all the parameters of the VST instrument itself. If I click on Edit Instrument, we can see the VST instrument that's being used. At the moment, all we're doing is just playing one note on it, so not very interesting. We can see that note here is this long line, and if I play it, it doesn't sound very interesting at all. However, as it's playing, I could change some of the parameters of the VST instrument itself, like this. So as I'm changing the parameter, it's changing the quality of the sound. And in exactly the same way that we did with the audio track, if I right enable this, now the GUI has disappeared because it's now underneath this window, but I can get it back like so. Right enable the track, play again, and now Cubase, as I move this parameter, will record the movements. There we go. Now, remember that if we want Cubase to actually read what we've just done, we also need to read enable the track. But now I'm going to keep it right enabled at the same time, so I can automate another parameter whilst it's reading the automation of the first one. So I'm going to use the LFO parameter now. So now, I don't want to write any more automation, so I can write disable the track. But as I play back, let's get the interface back again, we're now going to see that both the cut parameter and the LFO parameter are going to move. So there's the cut parameter moving and the LFO. So we're modifying two parameters of the VST instrument simultaneously. Now, if I want to see all of the automation that I've done, if I right-click on the track and choose Show Used Automation, that is now showing me both of the parameters that we have just automated. And if I go to More, you can see all of the parameters that can be automated. So you've got the volume and the panner, as you do on every track. Because this is a VST instrument track and the instrument that we're using is the GTG KWOP72, these in this folder here, these are all the parameters of that synth that we were just looking at. So if I extend that, we can see a list of all the parameters there that we can automate.